Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sathak, and in continuation with the TestNG videos, I need to do this video in English as well. How multiple data providers can work for multiple test cases when data providers occupy a different class and your test cases occupy a different class. I've done this video in Hindi, so I'm doing this in English. So let's go ahead and not waste further time, and let's go ahead. I'll create a package uh, like um, data driven testing. Okay, and I'll create one class which will have my test cases. So in this class I'll write my test cases, and I'll create another package which will I'll create another class, which will have my data providers. So I'll keep it as data provider here. So let me first create the data providers. So, and I'll write uh, public static void ninja data supply. Okay, this is for tutorialsninja.com. So here I'll write create the two-dimensional object array. Okay, so I'll write seleniumpanda@gmail.com, selenium@123. I'll just copy these things in the two-dimensional object array, paste, paste, paste. But then here this is Selenium Panda 1, this is 2, this is 3, and here goes the password 4. That's it. Then I'll return this data, and then I'll convert the void to object array. It's very simple. That's it. And then I will create another object array for my Rediff. So I'll write here Rediff data supply, and I'll change here rediffmail.com, and here the password is okay, and selenium 2 at rediffmail.com and selenium 3 panda 3 at rediffmail.com, they do not exist. So technically the third and the fourth data for this particular data provider, they do not exist. This data exists, and here the 1 and 2 exist. The third and fourth, they do not exist, but still I have written. Okay, so this is my data provider which I have written. I'll do further changes in this, and then I'll go to test cases. Here I will write my public static WebDriver, and I'll also write my soft assert. I'm creating the object of my soft assert class, because I don't like to use simply hard assert. So here I'll write public static void tutorials ninja login test. Okay, so driver equals to new Chrome driver. Okay, driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Okay, driver dot get http colon tutorialsninja.com/demo. So now I'll go here, open the tutorials ninja. So what I have to basically do is I have to open this URL, click on my account, then click on login, and then here I have to enter my username, and here then I have to enter my password and click on login option. Okay, I left out something. Okay, and click on login option. Then I just come inside this particular link and I can validate that logout exists or edit your account information exists, and then I just log out. That's it. That's the only thing I'll do. The only thing is there will be multiple users, which will be these username, password, username, password, username, password. These multiple input parameters, input combinations for the same process should happen. So I'll just write driver dot find element by dot link text my account dot click. So it's just nothing. I'll just click on my account, this particular link. If you inspect, this is my account. It is actually a link. And then once you select here, of course I have to log out and then the login will come. So I'll log out and then I'll click on login. Login is also an anchor tag A with a text as login. So I'm just going to use that. Control C, and this one will be login, login. Okay. Now once I click on login, I need to enter my email ID. So this one has an input tag. It has an ID input minus email. So I'll write driver dot find element by dot ID input minus email dot send keys gmail.com, and then I have to enter password. ID is input minus password. I'll just copy this. Selenium @123, and then I'll copy. I'll just inspect this login button. It has class. It's a compound class btn and btn dash primary. It has an input tag, so I'll just try to make a css selector out of it. And yes, it is good. We have one of one. I'll copy this, come back. uh, I'll write here driver dot find element by dot css selector dot click. Okay, this is good. Now let me log in manually. Let me log in again. So let's say, for example, you have successfully logged in. How do you validate? You can choose anything. I'm just choosing this. Edit your account information is present or not. I'll inspect it. And this is a link which has this particular text. So I'll write here string, or I can just directly write soft assert dot assert true driver dot find element by dot link text. See, you can use this link text, or I can use this particular text to write an XPath here. A contains text, comma, this much. This is also one of one, so I can use this as an XPath. So I'll control C, and instead of link text, I'll use by dot XPath. And here, that thing I'll put, and this one is dot is displayed. And that's it. That's my validation part happening. Okay. Now I'll soft assert dot assert all, and I'll quit my driver. So I've done my part for one test case. I have finished. Now I'm going to make another test case. So @test public static void rediff login test. Okay. This much will remain common. Now driver.get, I need to give the login of Rediff URL. So I'll just go and check what it is. I have to, this is the URL which I need to give, this particular URL. I'll copy this URL, paste it. Now what I have to do is I have to enter the username, password, and then I have to enter, click on this, and then I have to see whether it has signed in into it. So I'll just right click, inspect. This is having an ID login 1, password I'll inspect. It is having an ID password, and the sign in button I'll inspect. It has a class SIGNINBTN. So I have done this so many times that I remember almost everything. So what I'll do is I'll literally pick these three things up and replace them. So that one has login 1, okay, and here instead of Gmail, Rediff mail, nothing changes. This particular password in Rediff ID is password remains the same, and here the class is SIGNINBTN. So I'll make input dot this. So this is the CSS selector, copy this, and I'll change the value of the CSS selector. That's it. This is almost the same thing. And then I'll go inside and I'll wait and see, and I'll just determine whether this logout link exists. I'll inspect it, and it has an anchor tag rd underscore logout. So I'll just select this class and write /a contains @class, comma, and value of the class. This is also a correct XPath. I'll come here and I'll write soft assert dot assert true driver dot find element by dot XPath dot is displayed, that is displayed, right? And soft assert dot assert true, then driver dot quit. Oops, sorry, assert all, something is wrong with me. Okay, so now we have created two test cases. Let me first give a priority to this one first. So priority equals to 1, and this one will come as a priority equals to 2. Now, what is the other thing that we learned? First, we did learn that we have to create the two-dimensional object array that will be returned by the @DataProvider annotation, which will be created, and then we'll pass on the values. Both that is thing is done. Now, the thing is, we have to connect this @DataProvider annotation, this data, with each of the respective test cases. You know that you can pass on the data provider here, data provider attribute equal to the name of the method which holds the two-dimensional object array data, or else there is another way to do it. Each of the data provider annotation, you can name them, like you can say this one as TN data, and this one you can give it a name Rediff data, something like this. And instead of passing the name of the methods here, you can directly pass the name of the naming convention which you have given, the name attribute. So just use TN data, and that's good. That's pretty good. Similarly here, you can do data provider equals to Rediff data. See, this is the name that you have given for this particular @data provider. Okay, so just integrating that. Now this next option is you have to also connect with the data provider class, because you have to connect to that particular class. So the data provider class attribute will connect with this particular class which holds the @data provider annotations dot class. In this annotation will be same for, because this is connecting class to class. So these three things are done. Now we have to pass the parameters. String password. The same I'll do here, and then I will just copy this, and I will not, I'll use the local variable here. Okay, this looks good. Similarly here, this one will be password. I think I have connected everything. I'll just check once again. I'll first check my data provider. Everything looks good. TN data, name, Rediff data. Everything looks good. Here both of them are static, and make sure that both of the methods are static in nature, because it is easy to connect. And then yeah, this looks good. URL all is good. So now let me run this. So right click, run as test-ng test. So tutorialsninja.com opens up, and it works absolutely fine. Guys, did you notice one thing? Because the last two data of this particular thing failed. See, here it is fine. This is what was expected. Out of the 8 different input data, 6 will pass, 2 will fail. This is expected. That means, as I already told you before, Selenium Panda 2 and 3 rediffmail.com, these email IDs don't exist. So typically they will not work. But now the problem is the browsers are not getting closed. Can you see here? Even though I have given driver.quit, the browsers are not getting closed. Technically speaking, what do I need to do this? You can do one thing. So now let me manually close the browser. So if you deliberately want to close your test case even though they pass or fail, you can do one thing. You can write after method public static void teardown, and here you can write driver dot quit. So you need not write driver dot quit here. Here also you do not need, because the after method will execute after each and every test case. So now if I run this, so let me not run this one right now, because we know that this one will work fine. For this particular case, it is important. So I'll run as test-ng test. So the first 2 times it will close. Even the third and fourth data, even though the password is not correct, the email ID do not exist, it will still close the browser. But for the third, it will not enter in, but it will still close the browser. So it is giving error, but still closing the browser. And it is still closing the browser. So all our browsers are getting closed, even though the output remains the same. So this is how you can write multiple test cases with multiple data providers, and the data providers would be in a different class. The test cases would be in a different class. You can give those at the rate data providers a certain name annotation, and then connect the name annotations with the data provider attribute. You need not write the name of the methods. Even the methods will work. It is up to you. When there are multiple things, I prefer to use the names rather than giving the methods, and then to connect to that class which has the data providers. With this particular class, you have to use this data provider class attribute, and you have to connect that with the class name followed by dot class. And this one I have deliberately done so that I did not execute this. I was just trying to show how this thing works. I'll delete it again. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this session, and thank you for your support, and continue subscribing to my channel and uh, forwarding the videos. Thank you so much. Sathik is signing off.